Okay, recording.
Okay, good afternoon to our speaker,
It's
Dr.
2
Muhammad.
o'clock.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock. Okay.
Sorry, again. Good afternoon to our speaker, Dr. Muhammad Azwan Muhammad Bakri, to our beloved lecturers and fellow students. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone for attending today's seminar on climate change and global warming. I am Thiru from the Department of Aerospace Engineering. It is with great pleasure for me to introduce to our speaker for today, Dr. Muhammad Azwan Muhammad Bakri. Our speaker is currently the head of Mechanization and Engineering Unit of the Engineering and Process Division in Malaysian Palm Oil Board, which also stands for MPOB. He obtained a PhD in Renewable Energy from UPM in 2017. He serves MPOB in the Oil Palm Mechanization and Automation Engineering Research area for the last 14 years. He has close interaction with the palm oil industry, especially in the upstream sector, through his direct involvement in several projects. Amongst that are Oil Palm Industry Mechanization Incentive Scheme, the establishment of the JPK Certified Skill Training Course on Mechanization Operation, Mechanization Fund, Industry Government Interaction Session, Research Advisory Panel, and several others. Previous experiences in a UNDP, such as the government project on the oil palm biomass power generation and cogeneration. During the tenure, he was also involved in a scientific and technical advisory panel for biofuel application. The project was related to the rational use of energy in oil palm mechanization operation and the application of an automation system. Before the ink is dry on the page, let us once again welcome Dr. Muhammad Azwan Muhammad Bakri to deliver his talk for today.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Tiromoti, for brief introduction. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum to Prof. Falina, Prof. Rosna. Thanks for inviting actually MPOB to introduce a little bit about current scenarios with regard to this, what we call it, agriculture community and climate change. So let me share first my PowerPoint here. Can I, Prof?
Yes, very good.
Okay, sorry for the technical glitch. So, okay, let me start again. So, even though the title given to me by Prof. Falina is about climate change and global warming, but as MPOB is a agency entrusted for our oil palm industry, or we will call it cash crop in Malaysia. So I olah sikit lah dia punya presentation on the energy for oil palm plantation operation, but slightly it will relate to climate change and global warming. So climate change and global warming title that relate to oil palm operations. That's what I will present to the through the seminar. So there are so many things involved in climate change, global warming, energy in the industry, in the oil palm plantation industry, or in palm oil production flows. But here I just focus a certain area only. This because I think 1 hour might not be adequate to cover everything. So hopefully students can gain something from my presentation here today. So Is it okay? Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So, my contents of presentation today, I will divide it into a few sections. First, introductions. It's not one slide, but first section. Then second, I will go into what the issues and challenges in FFB production that might relate a little bit about the energy and somehow will relate into the climate change and so on. So the third section is energy and oil pump plantation operation. So what we have done so far in order to combat the global warming. So, and finally the conclusions. So as an introduction, okay, first I would like to introduce MPOB. Maybe the first year student might not know about the MPOB. So MPOB is the government agency. Yeah, we are the government servants. We are taking care of the oil pump industry from the upstream to downstream. Our main role is not just promoting, but also developing objective policy and also try to improve whatever that might come to the industry, such as attack from the other countries about our oil palm and so on. So how we are doing about it is through research and development R&D. So because mostly the attackers are using scientific evidence to attack our oil pump. So we have to defend it through scientific what we call it finding also. So MPOB is still new, 1st May 2000, but before that we have a few agencies like Palm Oil Research Institute of Malaysia, PORIM, Palm Oil Research Licensing and Enforcement, PORLA, and so on. There are a few agencies that are combined into MPOB. So this is on your, sorry, I have to point to, okay. So our mission vision is, yes, in order to be a, what we call it, to be a leaders, our vision have to be big. So even though we are not yet become the Nobel laureate researcher, but we have to think how to be a Nobel laureate. And then our mission is, of course, to enhance the well-being of oil palm industry. We have 3 pillars of strategies: high income. So we try to improve whatever the product of the palm oil to be more higher value, more sustainable development. This is related to the global warming, CC, climate change, and so on, and value additions. So this is the 3 pillar or 3 strategies that will support our missions. Okay, that's all. MPOB. If you're interested to know more about MPOB, please log in to our website. So when we talk about the agriculture, we have to see where is the direction, especially on oil palm. Yeah, because sometimes people might say one day oil palm will become like our rubber industry where it collapsed. Nobody want to plant the rubber tree and so on. But when we see the pattern, actually because the human is increasing, the population is increasing, and in maybe 20 years time, the population might increase 1 billion per year, or within 4 to 5 years. So to feed the world hunger, especially it requires a lot of resources of especially on agricultural part. So here I just want to mention that actually even though whatever US, UK or Europe say about oil palm, they are still actually dependent on our resources because which is oil palm, because human need a reliable source of food and shelter, fuel, and so on for human beings. So the sustainability of agriculture so will not be in downward trend after this, because the human population is increased. It keep increasing every year. So in order to provide those agricultural input or output, so energy is needed. So in agricultural production, we have a few elements that require energy for processing, such as for the plant growth itself, where we need the fertilizer. So just like oil palm, without the fertilizer, then the productivity will drop significantly. So that's why energy for fertilizer is quite huge in oil palm. So even though we say we are not doing the eco-friendly method or so on, but without the support from the chemical or energy from the fertilizer, the plant growth will go down. And then we need for the field upkeep and maintenance. We need energy for transportation, harvesting, irrigation, land preparation, pest and disease control, and even monitoring and management of the operation also. So in order to sustain the agricultural energy used for agriculture is a significant topic that need to be tackled. So this is why today I think I want to talk more about the energy that that is very important to the agriculture. As I mentioned here, this is a principle of energy application. So as mentioned before, energy is the driver of growth. So people who has more energy or people who own the energy will go faster compared to the people that doesn't have the resources. So energy provide better living condition and reduce work burden, but it grows. Even like Malaysia, if we want to increase our production of oil palm, we have to be balanced in terms of economic and sustainability, in terms of economic and environment. So energy conservation are important element in this matter. So eco-friendly method, less pollution method is preferable, but the cost has to be acceptable, because management of energy or energy management is to produce good and services with the less cost and least environmental effect. That's make the energy for agriculture is a challenges part. So here I just share with you goal of the energy management, especially for oil palm plantation or for agriculture production, is to achieve and maintain optimum energy procurement and utilization throughout the whole process. I mean, as mentioned before, I show you the requirement of the energy for agriculture. So the procurement, the utilization have to achieve the optimum level, so no wastage and so on. And then we have to minimize the energy cost. There's very challenges and wastage. And finally, to minimize environmental effect. This is where the CC and global warming came in. So, as you know, I think you already know the source of energy. We have two types, conventional and non-conventional. So here is a renewable energy, we call it non-conventional, where we have solar, wind, geothermal, hydropower. So I will not describe all this energy. I assume that everybody already understand what the sources, how it works, and so on. So at this moment, we still utilizing this non-renewable source because the cost of this renewable energy cost is very expensive. So in agriculture, actually, we are not just considering the resources as the input energy. So in the agriculture, everything that being the input of the agriculture can be considered in energy terms. Even labor, even animal can be derived into energy consideration. So there are a few methods available, especially on techno-economic, that define how labor, fuel, electricity can be level up in terms of the quantity. So this is also indirect energy, where it been used into the plantation, but not directly. It means that it has to be other process that require this energy to be inserted into the production system or agriculture. So in agricultural process or in agriculture production, energy for energy consumption, all this energy input has to be considered in order to obtain efficient production of agriculture. So energy output, all the outcome of the production or the agriculture system has to be defined in terms of energy. Then we can have the efficiency. So efficiency is output over input. So coming into the CC or carbon emission, here I took the example of from the internet itself, where actually main what we call because GHG there is a lot of element. There's a few elements involved in GHG, not only CO2 but also CO2, NOx, methane, SOx, and so on. So if you can see here, actually in agriculture, only 10% only contribute about 10% of the total GHG emission in the world. Only thing that they use land use change or LUC in the GHG that they are attacking us. But in terms of operation of the agriculture part, there are no doubt that actually agriculture produce lesser GHG compared to the other industry like manufacturing and so on. So actually in terms of the culprit, or not the culprit lah, the biggest GHG contributor for in the agriculture is the livestock production. So because it produces CH4, which is 7 times more potent compared to CO2. So okay, so one way for you guys want to be what we call the environmental friendly human, maybe we have to eat less red meat because if we there are too many demands of red meat, then the production has to be increased. So that's why there are more carbon emission occurred in agricultural process. So in oil pump, in pump oil process flow, I hope you understand that pump oil process flow involved into a few stream, which is upstream in or plantation stage, midstream, milling stage, and refinery stage is what we call it downstream. If you can see here, the emission or the global what we call it element that produced from this flow is actually mostly is CO2 as compared, and then at the milling stage we have the methane CH4 here. But in terms of other elements like CFC and so on, or chlorofluorocarbon, it not been produced directly on the process flow. Maybe it been used in the for the office and so on. So it, oh sorry. So sorry, moment. Okay. So for you to understand that the important element here is that whatever that been produced actually are using back by our tree, the plantation, for them to grow. So, but here we have land use change, or we have to clear the plant jungle in order for the industry to be built. However, in Malaysia, we have a policy that we will limit. We are going to we almost reach our limit, which is 6.5 million hectare for oil palm. So we are going to stop there. We are not allowed any new development of palm oil, especially on the virgin jungle, from the virgin jungle. So there are some policy that have been forced in order for us to take care our environmental issues. Okay. So I go to the second component, which is issues and challenge in oil palm FAB production. So just to introduce you the importance of palm oil, you can see in the graph, this is the production or the export of palm oil in term from 2010 2016. Sorry, I'm not updating the data, but the trend is almost same. Actually, palm oil produced and exported widely and being used widely in globally as compared to the other what we call it oil crops, because we are producing more oil in hectare area compared to the other oil crop. So it shows here the importance of palm oil for the global requirement. MPOB last time when EU blocking our not blocking not promoting palm oil to the product to their product. So but some of their representative came and said that actually they say because of certain issues, not because of they are totally blocking the import of palm oil. It is because if Indonesia and Malaysia stop producing palm oil, then all the major food product will be increased in terms of price. Yeah, you can imagine if our Milo or our whatever food, chocolate and so on, using sunflower, using groundnut oil or soybean oil, because all this oil is very expensive, and because of the limitation of its production in terms of hectareage. So so the nutrient intake might not be available for everybody, especially for the poor country. So palm oil very important in terms of market, in terms of to the human populations. So, but what the issue that have been raised of if palm oil want to be sustained in Malaysia, labor shortage. So, as I mentioned previously, that one of the direct input to the palm oil in order to produce the good outcome is labor. So now one of our input energy are scarce. So the labor shortage. So the fruit cannot be what we call it harvested on time or cannot be harvested at all. So it's one of the main issue nowadays. It's not just because of the COVID, the policy of our government to not to allow Indonesia or Bangladeshi came to Malaysia to work, but that's not the issue actually. Previously, before the COVID, we already the labor shortage already incurred. This some information, some data here from 2015 to 2021. So if you see here, ton per hectare or production of FFB, fresh fruit bunch from the tree, the oil palm fruit itself has reducing tremendously because of this issue. Even though we are producing more money because the price of palm oil suddenly increased because of the shortage, but the price will not sustain very long the high price. So here in terms of FFB yield, it is until September, but from our information that we are not achieving even 15 ton per hectare per year. So this is due to the labor shortage. So this shouldn't be allowed. So if we go into detail what they are doing, the foreign labor or the laborers in the plantation, there are a lot of major work here or cluster of work. So if you can see, foreign actually represent mostly on the harvesting process. So the harvester, only 6% of local are interested on harvesting. So then actually the harvesting is the main input income for the industry, and the outcome, the main outcome, the production. So if there is no here, then actually the others, I mean others, what we call it, others field of work is not I won't say useful, but not relevant. So harvesting for is the most critical part. So the foreign we require up to 94%. Well, okay, so MPOB as a custodian of the industry. So what we have done, so since early 2010, we have started a few what we call national effort, such as we conduct international competition. So we're hoping that some inventors can invent some technology that can be used to improve the situation that I mentioned. So 2014, 2017, but nobody can produce the what we call the harvesting technology solutions. Here we have oil palm mechanization fund, still viable. The latest one is we are introducing the Mechanization and Automation Research Consortium, MARCOP. So here we call everybody to be part of the consortium to find out a solution. So it just been launched last 2 months. Previously, we have Optimis, we have Seminar, and then we have the this is the mechanization operation cost SKM, and then of course we carry out a lot of R&D. So for R&D, from 2000, actually MPLB produced about 50 technology which relate to the mechanization and automation in oil pump. So others, what we call it, division or others, other like biology, like advanced oleochemical. There's a lot other technology that been produced, but here I just to share here is on the farm mechanizations. So most of the some of the technology being accepted, but not all, because our limitation is only on TRL 6 for commercialization, where we require more fund, more money. So this is the reason why MPLB cannot produce what we call it commercially acceptable prototype or product, and we just limit ourselves to R&D. So we, by hoping that somebody from the industry can take up it as a commercial elements. So we are focused, previously we are focusing on mechanical mechanical part, but currently we are also looking into what we call it electromechatronic, like robots. So as we understand that robot, we have a few types of robot, such as pre-programmed, autonomous, augmenting, and teleoperated. So we are searching, researching the best option. So this is what we call it the Markov committee here. A few of them from universities, including UPM. So we are looking into whatever technology or whatever advanced technology available for cutting the FFB. So here, this is a drone with cutter, and this is exoskeleton. Okay. So so that's the issue of the palm oil or oil palm plantation operation. That required, well, say, more energy to be available, the resources to be available, in order for the in order for us to produce the acceptable outcome in terms of quantity of FFB or quantity of palm oil itself. So here, when we relate back into the energy perspective, this section will introduce, what we call it, elaborate a little bit about the energy and CC or climate change or global warming issues. So here, as we know that we need more technology to come in, we need more what we call it, machine to come in. So one day, if this not be taken care, the fuel consumption might be increased. As here, we say the current level, without any checking, maybe the increase will be a little bit high compared to today. And then that's why MPLB is looking into, when we look into the sustainability, we have to think about the rational use of energy, especially in oil palm mechanization. And then when it's where the sustainability or the issue on global warming can be tackled. So this is a GHG emission boundary, system boundary, from the palm oil to the milling. It been produced by Smith and Kender, if not mistaken. So when we go detail into it, we know that a lot of this element emitted the GHG, and what I'm interested more is on the emission from combustion of fossil fuels in the fields. So from the study, from the literature and some of the what we call it studies lah. So we know that 100 or to 200 million liter per year of diesel is required at that stage at 2016 for us to in order for all the machinery can work. Or the consumption is about 3.2 gigajoule per hectare per year. So the emissions is about 200 kilogram, 200 to 400 kilogram CO2 equivalent per hectare per year. So this element have to be checked. So what we did is we do some benchmarking. So this is actually a case study how MPOB is looking into the issue on sustainability, even in specific subject like mechanization. So as mentioned here, we are doing the benchmarking on how those energy, especially on machinery, fuel consumption, human labor, fertilizer, and chemical, as input energy that produce the crop yield is what we call it the characteristic of the energy being used. And then, of course, there are some losses of energy that little bit to be identified. So even though we started with our own research plantation, but after that, when we got some information, then we are doing the survey to a few plantations, not much, about 30 plantations available in Malaysia, because we are looking into the plantation that use optimally the mechanization practice, because most of, as you understand, not much of the estate are using the mechanization, the operation, because of so many reasons. So this benchmarking only considering the estate that are using the mechanization as optimum as possible. So from our finding, we found that energy use efficiency in the plantation is quite high, about 90%. Yeah. Actually, because our survey is looking into the plantation with mechanization that already have their own standard. They have their own SOP in doing work. So like Samdabi, like what we call it, Kulim Plantation, Sawit Kinabali Group, and so on. So they already have the system to work, very efficient system to work. That's why if looking into the efficiency is quite high lah, 90%. Maybe 10% or another 10% is losses. Is maybe due to the environmental impact like flooding and so on. So this is why the specific energy, net energy, actually all the data is tally with literature produced in Indonesia also is quite same. So yeah, so actually in order for after plantation to be efficient in terms of energy utilization, so in my conclusion is they have to look into the big planters that already have the standard. Then they can utilize the efficiency, they utilize the energy effectively. So in terms of what we call it more detailed energy use, actually the sulfur only contribute 2% of the total what we call it energy consumption. human labor is quite huge, 21%. So now if we reduce the human labor because the source unavailability, so then we cannot have the optimum productivity. So it's tally lah with what happened now. So machinery 10%, the highest part, almost 70% is chemical fertilizer. That's the important part. So some estates say because the labor shortage issue, they try to reduce the chemical fertilizer. Some estates have done the statement. So actually it's not good. It's a very not good statement, because without fertilizer, then the plant growth will reduce and will affect the productivity in later year. So because I'm studying more on fuel consumption, so I go to the based on what most machinery use in the plantation for the operation. So we see here upkeep, upkeep the lowest part, mainland transport and regulation. Actually, these are two big machinery. So then I try to understand more on upkeep and maintenance part. So in order for us to reduce the diesel fuel consumption, there are a few available alternative energy that can be derived from the palm oil. So I will not discuss it thoroughly, but here we have biomass, we have biodiesel, we have Fischer-Tropsch diesel or second generation biomass fuel, we have bio-CNG, we have biojet. So biojet is for the jet. So all this potential energy can be used in the plantation to reduce the GHG emission, right? Unfortunately, the most potential or commercial alternative energy available is on biodiesel. But here in Malaysia, we focusing biodiesel not for our industry itself. We are selling it outside. We selling it to the Petronas. We selling it to the consumer use, industrial use, not the palm oil industry, but for the other commercial use. So why? It's because biodiesel is much more expensive compared to diesel. That's the main thing. For bio-CNG methane, even though now they are already we have one case study for bio-CNG production, we prefer that this bio-CNG to be a substitute or to be used with the natural gas application rather than the transport application. So by looking into this, so what is the available for the plantation itself? So that's why from the study, from our research, we found that actually solar energy can be used for the transportation. It's a very good for the farm vehicle. So here we have example of Ramses project in Europe, where the solar is exported, either is for housing and also for the electric farm vehicle. So it's quite successful. So we try to imitate the study into our scenario. Of course, we have a lot of solar in Malaysia. So this is why we started our project, solar electric vehicle for solar. So we do already have the electric vehicle used in our what we call it research plantation in Kratung. We use it for spraying. So after a few options available, we decide that the best is solar roof application for our EV. This is the other option, off-grid solar, hybrid solar charging, grid only. So from the simulation, we know that renewable energy source portion is about 27% based on our data, based on our environment data, based on our solar data. But from our what we call the actual field test or validation test, we found that yeah, almost similar, but not much. So 21% can only be contributed. So the rest 80% is from the maybe charging ke ataupun others diesel charging ke ataupun grid charging ke, other option by using our onboard PV system. So still again validation, why we got the lesser what we call it depth of discharge. So we found that during our test, actually we have La Nina at that time. There are very high cloud formation, and then throughout the year it's almost consistent. So that's the reason why we obtain a little bit low compared to the simulation. But the problem in Malaysia is that we have very high cloud formation. It reduced the solar penetration to the solar panel. So actually direct solar of rooftop is not very suitable for such a big application like that. So perhaps we are now studying how that how that system can be incorporated for small application of solar. So we are still doing that. Hopefully we can get the result very soon. So in terms of energy saving analysis, we found that if we use solar, we can reduce about 10 kilograms CO2 equivalent per hectare per year, or 3% of the total emission. If if only 50% of our plantation area can use solar for transportation. Here, as I mentioned, we are focusing on upkeep and maintenance, small application vehicle, small utility vehicle, so it can be converted into the renewable energy system that later can capture the renewable energy source. And then, yeah, even not much, because the biggest portion is the fertilizer, but it can be something that we will say we reduce the CO2 emission, and finally can what we call it improve our situation in terms of global warming. So I think almost 40 to 50 minutes already. So that's my conclusions. Actually, yes, global warming is a true effect, or true phenomena. Climate change is a real scenario. So whatever we do in our life, so we have to consider the effect. So yeah, like Prof. Hasplina said just now, we have to deal with flooding on yearly basis. We have to come up with a new system, whatever system that can be improved. So in agriculture part, all component in agriculture production actually is integrated. So even smaller improvement in practice, like introducing solar system for the operation, could improve entire production or entire system. And I think the best what we have to do now in terms of engineering, agriculture engineering, or whatever engineering that we involve, is how we can change our commodity or can change our industry into a data-driven system that later we know where we can improve. So hopefully my presentation can be understood by all of you. Yeah, I just want to share with you what actually a real thing happened in industry in the country. Hopefully can be used by the student to gain or to know where you are stand, to go to take up for your future. So I think that's all from me. I will leave. So I hand over again to Mr. Tirumuti again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. I would like to say thank you for the informative and interesting talk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the question and answer session. Don't forget to mention your name and feel free to open your mic and answer it and ask any question to Doctor.
Good afternoon, Dr. Azman.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ahmad Ajit, and I'm from Group 3 and Department of Aerospace Engineering. We all know that in Malaysia is the second largest country that produces oil palm in the world. And right now, our country is facing a severe forest losses, many of which are connected to deforestation due to palm oil production that could lead to global warming, climate change. Like currently in Malaysia, we have heavy flood, haze, and others. So my question is, how does oil palm production can comply with no cut trees commitment in order to make the oil palm production more sustainable and environmentally friendly? Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Mr. Samad, if not mistaken the name again, from Aerospace Engineering. So thank you for the question. Actually, it's a very relevant question, a related question to our topic today. So yeah, my sharing is related to the agriculture, how agriculture contribute to CC and global warming, and how some case study that have shown how we are combating those issues lah. So as mentioned before, one is from our effort for R&D. It's not just from us, it's from every university and so on. How we can improve the operation wise, how we can reduce the energy input so that we can produce good outcome. So one is from R&D. Number two, actually oil palm, we do have a lot of what we call it standard. We have it's a must for us to have what we call our some standard like RSPO, Round Table Sustainable Palm Oil. Currently, we have our local standard, Malaysian Sustainable MSPO, Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil. So all those elements, all those SOP, the standard covering the good agricultural practices. So such as like we are not allowed to apply chemical to the certain area that near to the river, and then we cannot plant our tree when the degree of the topography is more than 24%. So all those standard actually covering what we call it sustainability issue of the palm oil. So especially towards the environment, because sustainability issue, there are a few other elements. So for the environment, there are some part. And then in terms of national policy, we are limiting our land, especially land use change issues that I mentioned before. We are limiting to the 6.5 million hectare. That's all. We cannot plant more than that. Indonesia, yes, they are now having double than us, then they can go triple the area than us. So that's the commitment that we are using in order for us to considering the sustainability issue. But we cannot stop the production of palm oil, as I mentioned before, that the requirement of the oil crop is very critical for the human population. So I hope I can answer. I hope that Encik Samad can accept my answer. Thank you.
Any other question? Anyone? Okay, actually, I have a question to Doctor. So I would like to ask, how did climate change affect the productivity of oil palm?
Okay. There's a lot of evidence that show climate change affect our palm oil production, such as flood. Just happened recently. So due to the flood, the operation has been stopped. So it's limiting the productivity. And then what else? Oh, okay. Some biological element has been changed because of this climate change, such as behavior of the weevil beetle. Weevil beetle is important for our palm oil growth or production. So because of this global warming issue, the behavior is changing, and then it cannot work effectively, especially in our what we call it in Sarawak, because they are over there. Most of the area planted of oil palm are using the what we call it tanah gambut, what we call it. So the emission there is the heat, the warming there is much more severe compared to the other places. So it affects the weevil beetle. So biological system or biological improvement system or process has been changed because of the climate change. That's one another example. And then number two is one is flood, two and other environmental impact lah. So so that's make the global warming or climate change impacted our oil palm production. Yep, thank you.
Any other question? Anyone? Feel free to type it out on the chat box as well. I can read it out to Doctor.
Maybe I would like to ask one question to Dr. Azwan.
Yeah, Prof.
Yeah, in terms of the biggest contribution of the greenhouse gases is through the application of the fertilizer. So what is the best way of the fertilizer application, maybe, or any of this from the good agriculture practice that you think able to reduce the impact on the environment?
Yeah, Prof. I think the application of fertilizer to the soil or to the plant is not much what we call it contribute to the GHG emission, but the production of the fertilizer make the contribution to the GHG is higher. That's what I understand, Prof.
Okay. So in terms of the productions of the fertilizer
Fertilizer.
itself, right?
Yeah, it contribute more, but the application still we do have some impact, but the biggest part is the production part.
Is there any LCA that have been done by MPOB for this to see the impact in terms of the energy and everything on the life cycle assessment?
Okay, in terms of LCA, Prof, we have a few LCA been produced, been published. But in terms of energy, yeah, because people see things through many ways lah, kan, Prof. One is through the production, the productivity, and then the part is through the GHG emission, and others can use it, can look it in through energy perspective. So for LCA, mostly LCA that established by MPOB or produced by MPOB, mostly they are looking into the GHG emission directly without looking into the energy perspective lah. So, but people who can look in, people who are in the area of study can convert it easily. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we can discuss further on this part related to the LCA. Maybe Dr. Azwan, do you also have any research on this or specific stuff, right? You have in MPOB. If I'm not mistaken, there is also journals by MPOB. Bulletin. That one is.
We have a few, Prof. We have a few. So bulletin engineering, bulletin biology, and so on. We have a few, and then but our journal is GOPR lah, Journal of Oil Palm Research. So it's a Q2 now, 2 point something, if not mistaken, Prof. Sorry, I forgot. So so yeah, it's a open access journal.
It's good opportunity for us. Sorry, I take this opportunity to discuss on this matter as well. Yeah. This is only one of the opportunity for us to have a collaboration. Yeah, in the research. Yeah. Yeah. While waiting, any other questions from the floor? Mr. Tiro, do you would like to? Because it's not easy to have this opportunity. Dr. Azwan is a very busy person, so we are very lucky to have him as the speaker for today's class. Actually, I booked last year, yeah. So, any questions? They are fresh students, so maybe some of them not really familiar with the terms as well, because for this class, actually, Dr. Azwan, we have from different departments, we have departments, so that's why you have from aerospace, from the not only from Department of Biological Agriculture, we also have food engineering, so there are many from the different departments. We have 8 departments, so all of them in this class. So electrical, so but then we have like what we can see integrated, so it's actually multidisciplinary. So we can solve the problems of the greenhouse gas houses, for example, and from the different background, we can work together, right?
Yeah, you are right, Prof.
Example, the solar application.
Yeah. Betul, Prof. Because I think agriculture is actually it's not just only a biological punya aspect. It's cover everything. Jadi from engineering, economy, account, and so on, kan? So yeah, every element is important.
Actually, we have a question from Amina. So her question is: are there any natural forces that explain the rise in global temperature?
Natural forces that explain the rise in global temperature. I think directly is the temperature of the mean temperature of the Earth lah, has been increased slightly, and they have been the data is can be obtained openly. So other natural forces explain rise in the global temperature. So okay, I try to think. Actually, because of this global warming, because of the increase of the mean of our Earth temperature, we can see that now the Arctic or Antarctic, the size of the ice is now shrinking. So, and then it impacted the rise of our sea level, and then when the sea has been the sea temperature, the volume of the sea has been changed, then we can see more what we call the disaster happen, like typhoon and so on. So when the weather has become more extreme, so I think and then we can ourselves in Malaysia, we can see that a few natural disaster had happened, and then it become more widely occurred throughout the year. And then we cannot predict anymore the seasonal effects, like the monsoon and so on. So I think that's a few natural forces that explain the rise in mean global temperature. Yep. So hopefully Amina can understand what I try to explain. Okay, Mr. Tirumuti, I see a few questions. Can I just answer directly?
Yes, sure, Doctor.
So from Marini Zaira, as we know, there were many bad effects from global warming. Is there any benefit that we will get from global warming? So far, for me, there is no what we call the benefit that can be obtained from the global warming itself, especially when we talk into the industrial perspective. Every process, every standard has to be changed accordingly. So and then when things happen, it incurred a lot of finance, incurred a lot of money to rectify all those issues. So for me, from my reading, from my knowledge, I think there's no benefit that we can get from the global warming. All right. Okay. Now from Arif Hanafi, have MPB spent any effort in processing CPO to become biofuel to replace petroleum for commercial use? Yes. So we already have our group, special group for what we call it biodiesel, or biofuel is a general term, but biodiesel is specific what we call it production or outcome that we are researching. So we have special group, we have special fund for them to study on the application of palm oil to not even biofuel, not even to biodiesel, but also to the biojet. So we also have a partner in China that already have a lab. They also look into this. The issue right now is that the biodiesel price actually is much more expensive compared to the diesel itself. So it's not a direct application. Someone have to, what we call it, give subsidy, provide the subsidy. This is why the biodiesel cannot be directly used at this moment for commercial or for the general application. Yeah. Okay. So hope Cik Arif understand. Now we already have biodiesel. Even Germany buy our biodiesel for their what we call train. So we can produce, but it is mostly because of this commercial issue. All right.
It looks like that was the end, I guess. Or is there any other question? Maybe.
Good afternoon, Dr. Aswan.
Good afternoon.
I have a question. My name is Lee Winston from Department of Chemical Engineering.
Okay.
And I want to ask, is there any future project or event that has been planned by MPOB so as to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal?
SDG, yeah. So thank you, Lee Winston. Actually, SDG, we have 12 elements in SDG, if not mistaken, 12 elements in SDG. So in terms of oil palm or palm oil, what we call it, operational flow, it's already taking care some of the SDG, and then such as gender equality, such as nutrient provide nutrient to the global needs, and so on. A few, if not mistaken, just very general question. But to improve the production, of oil palm sustainable without the much labor use and so on, is still under what we call the under progress. We are still progressing to study or to look into how we can achieve it. So without SDG, with SDG, of course, we are going into it because the palm oil is not just about the what we call it, our main income to the nation, but also it involves the socio-political agenda. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Okay, finally, we have come to the end of our seminar. We would like to say thank you again to our speaker, Dr. Muhammad Azwan Muhammad Bakri, for the informative and interesting talk, and for the audience as well for their active participation. Hopefully, this sharing will be beneficial for everyone, and thank you for your attention. Now, with deep appreciation, we would like to present the e-cert to our speaker today, Dr. Muhammad Azwan Muhammad Bakri, for we would email this to you, Doctor.
All right, thank you very much. So I would also like to thank all of you. Hopefully you can gain something. Of course, it's quite difficult to let everybody understand. So thanks to Prof. Hasfalina for giving me a chance, and Prof. Rosna also. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
Session? Yeah.
Yeah, this is the photo session, so I hope everyone can open their camera.
Rosna dah minum petang dah dia.
Itulah pasal.
Itulah kita tak dapat jumpa ya. Kalau tak boleh minum-minum dulu ni. Okay, photo session.
3, 2,
Tiru, okay.
all right.
We have 4 pages.
Okay, the second page. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the third page, no one has opened their camera. I think. Okay, that's all. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Azwan.
Okay, Prof. So hope to see you again.
All right.
So keep in touch. Bye, Prosna.
Good.